because they could take care of us. So there's biological reasons we feel the way we feel, and we can't just undo them. But the problem is that women think they deserve more than they are. And I see girls all the time. I'll see them reject guys, and I'm like, honestly, he's better looking than you.
Do you think?
But that's not looks, though.
Do you think like beauty standards are biological?
Yes, it's facial symmetry. So like when I'm ranking people 1 to 10, I use Kevin Samuel's scale a lot, and like because I'll do it in videos. I'll be like, okay, that girl's a that or that or that, and it's based on your facial symmetry. So if you're an 8, 9, or 10, that means you can get a modeling contract. 7s, they don't give. 5, 6 is pretty cute.
Yeah, but it's like, when I say that, it's like I think different cultures have different beauty standards.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like. If you were to go to South America and go to a tribe in South America, right? They've had their beauty standard within their tribe for thousands of years. So their beauty standards of what a woman is beautiful isn't the same as the Western world.
No, I think it's somewhat standard. Like I think facial symmetry is standard, no matter
What about body type?
Yeah.
Body type. I want to say it's still the big hips is like for birthing children. Big boobs is for
feeding children.
Yeah, for feeding children. Small waist.
Big ass.
No, there's some biological reason behind a small waist, and I can't remember what it is.
There must be, but there's biological reasons behind a big ass.
There is,
especially for black men. That's cultural. We've seen that for thousands of years.
You can hypnotize a man just by having
yeah.
What's my facial symmetry like? Off like just
what I would give you?
Yes.
Oh,
don't make me do this.
No, it's fine. Like I'm expecting lower than average.
I'd give you 5, 6.
Okay. I think I called that before.
Can I just ask what country you're from, if you don't mind me?
Me, Zimbabwe.
Thought so. It was either South African or Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
And I was asking that because you were talking about beauty standards, and I think, like you were saying, it's different everywhere. So, and even in different African cultures, it's completely different. You've got like some parts of Africa, they want slim women. Maybe big hips, maybe not. It just depends on maybe the tribe, for example. And there's some places where they want women with big hips. They might just be big, and that's what they like. So I think that where we live in the Western world, it's like, I feel like we're being conditioned to expecting that, oh, this person should be like this or this person should be like that. But we're so diverse now that there are going to be people, for example, in London that prefer this, and then there's going to be a different set of people that prefer that, and that is because it's biologically within us. So I don't think it's like, I don't know, that's why I find it difficult when people kind of shame other women for whatever they have. For example, you could be shamed for being skinny, you could be shamed for being fat, you could be shamed for not having an arse, you could be shamed for... Sorry, go on.
Do you notice the language you're using?
Go on.
You're shamed, but men... No one's gonna say, "Oh, men are shamed for being short. Men are shamed for being."
I was getting there.
Okay,
I was getting
go ahead.
I was gonna say the short men are suffering.
I feel so bad.
They
for
are
them.
suffering.
And bald men.
Oh yeah.
No, go ahead.
I just know what.
Bald men with beards. Bald men with beards are loved for some reason.
But I don't think it's shaming. I just think it's what is. Like I just think if you're not realistic, you're gonna be delusional.
No, it's shaming.
No, I don't think it's shaming. I think the dating market is harsh. What people want to date, and you should be selective in who you date. And there's nowhere in the world. And if you can pull me an exact tribe that is active in 2022, you could show me and prove me wrong. But that wants obese women.
There are tribes where they feed women milk to make them bigger.
In 2022.
In 2022, they feed them milk.
I do not believe
I swear to you.
It's
I'll
even
find
in
it.
this
I'll find it.
England here that we live in. I'm telling
You got men
you.
that will want to feed
it's
like
true.
They feed them specifically. I'll tell you why they feed them. They feed some. Okay, so more here, for example, men feed women so that other men
Don't
can't have
have
them.
that.
That's
Yeah.
one part of it.
I've heard that. I've heard
really
that as
true.
a form of make
And
guarding.
it's
Yeah,
really,
I've heard
really
that.
sad. It's so sad, but whatever.
relationship weight gain.
But like in terms of like when you're saying shaming, me sitting here today, 3 years ago, I was a size 6 and I was skinny as hell. I looked fine on the outside, so for whatever reason, people still tried to move to me. But I'm not interested in men like that either way.
Are you gay or what?
No, I'm not gay. I just I am not gay.
Switched it up. No, I'm kidding.
But like I said, I'm just not ready. Like, yeah, and I think because we'll talk about dating online as well, and I've seen some things that I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm actually happy.
I found the people though in Africa that feed people.
Where?
They're called the Leblua in. Say again.
Spell it. I just want to Google.
Yeah, LEBLOUH. And it's saying the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, West African nation with a population more than 4 million people, a country that is deeply patriarchal in society, in which women and girls are taught that they are inferior to men and must please men in order to have a fulfilling life. One manifestation of this culture is the standard of beauty for women, which emphasizes obesity as a sign of wealth, status, and desirability.
Because back home, if
Even in
you're a
Ghana.
man that is big, you're eating well.
I would
Like-
say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you're eating well, so that must show you have some sort of money, some sort of wealth.
Yeah, I would say in and I can't completely speak, but just from what I see and what I hear, Latin people experience, like their abuelos be like, "Have you eaten? Here, eat," and they'll feed them because it's just part of their culture to have those hips for the kids and be ready to have kids and whatnot.
No, that's so interesting. I've just never heard of that.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
But even in general, like you see when someone is really, really slim, the minute they start to put on weight, people look at you like, "Ooh, you're looking good. What's going on?" But it's like, I'm still the same person. Hello?
I think I think the culture changes because I remember when I was younger, light-skinned black guys were in style. Those are the desired black men, right? That's what happened now it's like the dark-skinned black guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good. Do you know what I'm saying? But like just preferences change throughout time, I think, sometimes.
To go back to what the two things you said. One, you said when someone is gaining weight, you're like, oh, they're eating good. I want to know from everybody's like perspective, whenever you see a celebrity, when they start off, they're small. And then once they get in the game and whatnot, they start gaining weight. What do you guys say?
It depends. I feel like if you're a bigger person losing weight, sometimes it's scary.
No.
Okay.
Not like that. If they're small, because it's something that me and we see, and it's like funny because you had said it when they're small at first, and then like when they first start out, whatever it is, music or acting or whatever it is.
What, like Rihanna, how she went really slim, and then she came back to.
No.
okay.
So what I'm trying to get is that it's a funny thing. Like when you see somebody at first, they're like, oh, they're slim,
Some
and they.
examples, just so that we.
I'm trying to think. There was someone I saw when I went home. I cannot remember like an actor, but the thing is when like a famous person is small and they get money, you're like, oh, they eating good because they got money now. They eating good. So it was just that I heard you say,
It's
and
like,
that's something that
You're no longer struggling, basically.
you got money now. You can eat good. You can afford to eat
Do you
good.
know what? I see that in rappers. I see it in rappers like you see they start off. They're not necessarily skinny, but like you just see the and you're like, wait.
He's like, oh, they eating good. They got
out.
money
And do you know
now.
what it is? You see them on social media as well. They'll be in all these nice restaurants. They'll be in all these like different places, and you're like, oh, okay, that's why you're living the soft life.
That's a sign that like someone has money. Is they're eating good. Like you can eat now, eat. And then another thing that you said earlier, you were talking about fairy tales and how it has like gave us this image of relationships. I think another thing that has given us this image of relationship is a popular story in the Bible is Ruth and Boaz. I think that's one thing that was taught from a young age. Wait for your Boaz, wait for your Boaz, wait for your Boaz. And they didn't tell us about like, oh, Ruth was actually working. I didn't hear about like the real story until I got older. Like, oh, Ruth wasn't just sitting around waiting for her man to come sweep her off her feet. Like, no, she was like out in the field working, like being in places where her like man could
see her.
Yeah, could see her. And it's like, man. And it's like they partially gave us a story to put in our image. You just have to wait and they will come to you. You don't have to be anywhere. Don't put yourself in no position and everything will work out. And it's like, man, we were like given a false image of what we need to do to be in a position to get.
Because you even saying that now, like you see that even when people are trying to date, like, oh, I'm looking for a guy with money. Da, 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 da. I'm thinking, where are you gonna find him? He's not. You have to be in that environment.
He's not looking for you.
He's not looking for you, but you have to be. If you really want him, you have to be in that environment. You have to either be working where he's working or in the social environments that they're in to get that kind of person. Because
so what do you think when women are in that environment? What do you think the competitive nature is with women like that around those men?
I feel like it's I feel like you can't. Catty. I feel you can't give a shit if you're gonna go into that. If you're looking for that man with 6 figures, 7 figures, you cannot care because if you start caring.
And I think I was gonna say there's a thing that women in that environment have that the average woman does not, and there's a level of refinement. Like when they go out, they don't go to certain shops and buy certain clothes and have a certain look. They kind of hold a bit of modesty about them, things for the man to kind of find out. Whereas this culture that we have in the general mainstream is give everything up, show everything, and kind of be vulgar and be open about certain things. It's those things that the man doesn't know he will pursue. Do you get what I mean? Because he doesn't know it, so he has to find out. And in that kind of environment, from what I think, I'm not in that environment, but it's femininity that comes into play. So being a bit more reserved, talking and having certain types of conversation. So gossip is not conversation that would be happening in that environment. Swearing and being so abrupt, you know what they would call as a traditional woman, I guess. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, I'm not there, so what can I say?
Society has moved away from the traditional woman for whatever reason. It doesn't, like, in the sense of that's why you've got Ciara twerking.
Yeah, but
she was probably.
My point is in that environment, what we're talking about. So where the higher paid, desirable men are, those types of women are. You know, what we would call traditional, more reserved, and the people like Ciara and Cardi B are in our arena. And that, it almost makes it a pull, because the majority of people are trying to appease that social norm of Ciara and Cardi B. So while all of us are focusing on that, the minority that is in our community are actually in that arena with the high value men. Do you get what I mean? So if we were in a different country and a different culture, it would be totally different. Certain countries, the way that we behave here is totally unacceptable for a woman. Yeah, so
do you think
it's a big part is the development of birth control in the 1960s. That's why you see women acting the way they do today. They don't have a consequence anymore. Yeah. Because they used to have to get married young, otherwise they'd probably get pregnant. But now it's like there's 2 types of men that women go for. There's the alphas and the betas. And birth control gives them the option to hook up with the guy for the short term, like fun guy, without any consequences. And then marry the long guy later after they've been ran through in their 20s.
I feel like
I lost the last bit.
And I said marry the beta later after they've been ran through in their 20s. Like Ciara, as a perfect example. She spent her 20s with Future, or early 20s. Future, other rappers, she was dating everybody. Now she just happens to find God, which is always between the ages of like 27 to 30, right? When they need a husband. And so then all of a sudden they have a new, then they find the provider guy. Marry him.
But that's similar to men, though, when they settle down. You know, when guys are like, oh, it's time for me to settle down. And you can kind of see in their body language and stuff. You're like, wow, you're trying to turn old. Like, what's going on? But it's similar.
What do you mean?
Because
there aren't many men in the church.
There aren't?
There aren't many men in the church.
No.
I think it's like 70% women.
Yeah.
Yeah, now...
Because the men don't get behind this. They're like, I came to church for a pure wife. Why are these hoes in the church?
Yeah.
They're like,
it's true.
And then they're gonna make me wait when the last guy got it for the last 10 guys got it for free.
Yeah.
Men don't get with this shit.
I think that is such a backward strategy by women, right? This is why there's so many like single women in the church. Like it's the strategy. You're balling backwards. Like really and truly, you're balling backwards because it's like if you think that going to church is gonna get you the man that you want, when the church is mostly women and most of the men in church are already taken, that's not the place. You're better off doing this. You're better off going to the club, or I don't know, to the bar, or I don't know, to somewhere.
Church is not to find men. You don't go to church.
A lot of women do that. A lot of women do.
I think they start off going to church thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to church and maybe I might find a good man. But when you really actually delve into the faith, I'm not going to say religion because it depends on what kind of church
they did
you
find
go
a good
to.
man.
But
Name's
yes,
Jesus.
if you but I'm saying like when a person goes to church and they delve into the faith, it moves away from looking for a man. You're no longer looking for a man. You're looking for your relationship with God. Once you gain that relationship with God, for whatever reason,
then you don't get a man.
No. You do because you then. I feel like most of the things that you speak about, they are within women of faith.
No.
I think there's some situations it's savage, because I'm not going to lie. It depends on what type of church you go to.
That's what I'm saying. If
Do you
go
go to one?
No.
church,
At the moment, no.
Okay.
But it literally depends on which ones you go to, because there are women that will go to find their husband, and the husband might already be taken. So then it now becomes a family affair inside the church, and it is common in certain. I can't necessarily say what type of churches, but there are a few that it really is savage.
The issue with churches is that, one, it tells girls that you need to find a guy that's an equally yoked as you.
Yes.
And there aren't. No, I've been in a lot of different churches. They all say the same thing. You need to find a guy that's equally yoked. What happens? There aren't enough guys in the church. There's one guy usually for every 3 girls. So you can't find the guy that's equally yoked, right? On top of that, they also want you to donate. It's like tithes or whatever, 10% of your income. Now, most women are on track to be homeless when they're 65. They're one cancer diagnosis away from being on the streets because they don't have the $2.5 million to retire. They need to retire. Now, I know here you guys have safety
You would have
nets.
the NHS,
Yeah. But at some point, that stuff's going to run out. They can't do it forever.
Well, it's been going for a very long time.
There's going to be they're predicting that in a lot of major cities there's going to be a lot of issues because a lot of the social safety nets that are unsustainable, even in England.
Which is true, but we're used to it. We're accustomed to it. We will find a way. Everyone figures a way with the government.
But going back to what you said,
but that's what women do. They always assume somebody else is going to take care of their poor decisions.
But going back to the church, though, Pearl, right? Like I said, my own anecdotal story that people have heard. That whole equally yoked thing, like women, when it comes to 70% of the church being female, and there are all the men in the basically all the men in the church are taken, the women are going to have to go outside of the church to find a man. And then when they find a man outside of the church, the pastor says, oh, he's not equally yoked. Get rid of him. So the church is perpetually keeping women single.
it depends on the church, and this is my point. It's not going to church is not to go and find a man. Going to church is to strengthen your relationship with God.
Who is a
Some
man?
People, yes, he's a man. He's whatever you want to call him.
You are going to find a man, though.
You will find a man, but my point is, if you go to church without the intentions of I'm going here specifically to look for a man, you will end up finding the correct man. If you strengthen your relationship with God, if you understand your faith more, you will end up going out and you will meet a man. He may not be equally yoked at the time, but you're like, you were saying about like a woman that's supportive, a woman that's encouraging, XYZ. If you're looking for a man of faith, you will find a man that may want that faith, and he will eventually become just as faithful as you are. Church is not for man.
Then why are there so many single childless women in the church?
Right.
Because they're going there to heal.
No, but I'm saying, but I'm saying that the results are not there. If what you're saying was true, then there would be results to show for it. But there, in every church I go to, even in England, it is 3 women for every 1 man. There is a surplus of single childless women. And so, like, what you're saying isn't correct, because if it was correct,
there would be results to show it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I go to a church, and every month there's at least 2 people being married.
Okay,
Okay, but how many are in the congregation?
They're in the congregation.
what percentage of women would you say is in your church?
It's probably the same percentage you're saying.
Like
Did
70%
they
women.
meet there, like at that church?
Some
Or
of
did
them,
they-
some of them met at the church. Some of them met outside the church and came to the church. Some of them, met at the church, or some of them were introduced through the church. If that makes sense.
But I'm saying that's exception, not the rule. So that
That's
happens.
what I'm starting to realize.
Yeah.
About me being on this podcast, I'm clearly an anomaly.
No, but it's not, because you said even in your church it's 3 women to every 1 guys. That means at least 2 are single. That means the majority of women, even in your church, are single.
Yes, but the point is the rate of marriage is quite high in the church. People are in serious relationships.
But that's not
And they're
quite
becoming-
high if 2 out of the 3 girls are single.
I don't know the full percentage, but what I see is that when you're going to church and
At some point, all of those men are going to be married off, and there's still going to be 70% of
but
women
there's still
left in
going to
the
be
church.
other
As
men
well.
coming to the church. But my whole point is, church is not to go and look for man. So if you take that out of the equation, you may find the correct man.
I understand.
So if you take
what you're
church out of the
saying.
equation, you may find the correct man.
No, I'm saying if you
take
go into church to look for a man out of the equation, you will find the correct man. Church is about your faith in
Sounds
God.
like manifestation.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. That you shouldn't go to church to look for a man. But with what Pearl is saying, there comes a point in women's life they realize I need a certain type of man because I'm going to get to a point where my eggs ain't egging no more, and I'm getting old, and I know that a good man is in church. So let me go find God in a church. And yes, you shouldn't. I don't think you should do that because it's like you're going there with the wrong intentions. But that is the mindset of some women, is that they do go there to find somebody so that they don't end up alone.
And when you go there as yourself who's now found God, what obligation does that man in church who may be a quote unquote good man have towards you and your madness? Isn't it like you're coming to him with all of this baggage, like, oh, I found God now. But really and truly, you don't understand how men think. Men aren't thinking, oh, she's found God now. Men are looking at your baggage saying, do I really want to get involved with that?
heals.
Like, it doesn't matter church or not. It could be mosque. I don't
heals.
care. Church, mosque, synagogue. It doesn't matter where you go.
But that's the. I mean, you know, God might heal, but the men don't forget.
Yeah.
and that's the
Facts.
lie. That's the lie that like. Oh my gosh, I have a whole bit on how church markets being a hoe. I swear to God, I said this.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, I swear, because this is what they do. They tell girls you can do whatever in your 20s, you can get ran through, and then all you got to do is apologize, mean it, and then there's a husband waiting for you at the end.
I want to watch.
And
it.
then on top of that, then they give those girls a platform to go talk to younger girls and say, "Hey, I was so broken. I was so broken, and then I found God later, and now look at me, and I'm so happy. I waited the second time around and I got married." So this is a mating strategy that only benefits women and doesn't benefit men. Because what does the second guy get? He gets a ran through wife who maybe had 1 or 2 baby daddies
Yep.
that now he has to wait for. Like, then this is what happens: is the church leaves women single because they tell girls to do this.
The church
That's a terrible plan.
The church keeps women perpetually single. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
people understand. Like, the church is not a place for you to go and find a man. It will. I said, if it's not the pastor keeping you single, then it's the actual actions of the people within the church keeping you single. Because the judgment that happens a lot of the time in church when a woman gets with a guy who's not in church, right? And they start saying, "Oh, is he in the church? No, he's not. Oh, so he's of the world." Then,
or he
you know?
has, or you have to bring him to the church. if
Yeah,
he's not. What the like, and what leader, guy that's a leader, that is alpha, that has the traits of a leader, is going to want to follow his woman to church, especially
No.
with the way churches are today, because even these mating strategies, they only benefit women.
And
they
you're going
seen
to
the
church
church as-
for the woman. You're not
I-
going to church for each other. You're going to church for God. If you invite God into your relationship, it will help to heal your relationship. And that's what, like, this whole thing of like forgetting about a past. Yeah, you cannot forget about a past, but it depends on your behavior moving forward. And if your behavior, let's exclude Sierra because we're not talking about Sierra here. But if your behavior moving forward is of a faith in God manner, then God rules in your relationship and you become whole.
Do you
Alright,
know
let's-
what that
let's-
sounds
I wanna
like?
say
I want to
something
hear
real
from.
quick.
Okay.
Do you know what that sounds like as a man, yeah? God rules in whose relationship? It's my relationship.
Then if you've got that mindset, you'll have a problem in your relationship.
No, but that's the point. You like women. A lot of women don't understand how men view God and how women view God, because the reason why women gravitate towards God is because he's a powerful man. Whether it be conscious or subconscious, you gravitate towards God because it's actually a powerful man, and women are attracted to powerful male figures. A man is not sexually attracted to a powerful male figure. It's just not like he doesn't see him like
we're not
that.
sexually attracted
No,
to
but
God.
I'm right. But what I'm
As many of you know, I was just banned on TikTok, and we are demonetized on a daily basis on this platform. If you want to help, please consider sending a super thanks below. Every donation helps, and it helps make what we do possible.